storm, and today we are the storm.
Of the Wide Australia Group, the leader is Jack Eltis.
It's our key political issue.
Are you racist?
Yeah, we're racist. Yeah, we're racist.
Protested before. Across the world, immigration has become one of the most divisive political issues of our time. From the streets of London to the farms of California, from Tokyo to Sydney, a wave of anti-immigration protest policies and crackdowns is reshaping the conversation about who belongs, who doesn't, and who gets to decide. But beneath the protest and the politics lies a deeper, more uncomfortable truth. Many of the same countries now closing their doors to immigrants, the very ones whose colonial past, resource exploitation, and foreign interventions helped create the instability people are fleeing today. Immigration at its core is the movement of people across borders for safety, for work, for family, or for better life. People migrate because they must. Wars, economic collapse, authoritarian governments, climate change, and hunger force millions to leave their homelands. For others, the promise of education, work, or simply dignity drives the journey. But here's the paradox. Many of these crises have roots in centuries of colonization and exploitation. In Africa, for example, saw its resources stripped and its borders redrawn by European powers. The Middle East has been destabilized repeatedly by foreign interventions. And today, when people flee those very consequences, they face walls, bans, and protests in these countries that once profited from their suffering. The UK has seen waves of protests, many framed as opposition to illegal immigration, but often infused with deep anxieties about Islam, race, and culture. Demonstrations have taken place outside hotels housing asylum seekers, and politicians have stoked fears about cultural change.
Why are they coming in like that? Surely that's wrong. Why I wouldn't skip on a boat and go to another country and hop off and expect to be well looked after. But apart from that, this is just United Kingdom.
Just to stand up for what I believe in. Yeah. We're losing identity of our country and somebody needs to stand up and fight for it.
We're going to be the minority in our own country, and that's scary. I mean, some of it is to do with population. We're not having as many children anymore.
Is that not a racist thing to say?
No, I don't think so.
We're right in what we're doing. If they want to call us far right, so be it. We're right, we believe in what we're doing.
The march is organised by the far-right activist known as Toby Robinson, who has convictions for fraud and violence. So today he appealed to his followers to be on their best behaviour.
There is no doubt that Britain's far right, for so long, so far beyond the pale, believes that public concern over immigration can help propel it from the political fringe to somewhere closer to centre stage. But that
they've attacked Christianity, they've opened the borders, they've flooded our nations. They managed to silence us for 20 years with labels. Racist, Islamophobe, far right. They don't work anymore.
But there's another side to the story. For every anti-immigration march, there are counter-protests and movements defending immigrants and standing against racism. Groups like Stand Up to Racism, Refugees Welcome UK, and local community coalitions regularly mobilize to confront far-right demonstrations.
Robinson today is going to try and get thousands of those people out on the streets. He's calling it a big free speech festival, but we know this is just an excuse for him to spread some of the worst hatred, division and racism that exists in our society.
When far-right protesters clashed with police in central London, Anti-racist groups organized rallies declaring a solidarity with immigrants and refugees. Their message was clear: Britain's diversity is a strength, not a weakness. Resistance shows that immigration debates in the UK are not one-sided. While some call for borders to tighten, others remind us of Britain's colonial history and its moral responsibility to those who seek refuge today. In 2025, the Japan International Cooperation Agency launched the Africa Hometowns Initiative. 4 Japanese cities were paired with African partner countries, Mozambique, Nigeria, Ghana, and Tanzania, to encourage cultural exchange. But things quickly spiraled.
The city becomes a hometown for the Republic of Mozambique in Africa.
Japanese are up in arms with a new program that has designated 4 cities as quote-unquote African hometowns. And some of the comments are downright racist. Are Africans being granted citizenship in Japan? Is Japanese culture really under threat? And who benefits from this confusion? I'm Ananya Datta.
Misinformation spread. A since-deleted post by the Nigerian embassy, along with exaggerated online claims, fueled rumors. Some posts falsely declared that the program would bring mass immigration from Africa, complete with special visas, free housing, and even preferential treatment. The government responded. JICA and officials clarified the truth. The program was about cultural and educational exchange only. No immigration incentives were involved. Still, the damage was done. Protests broke out, revealing something deeper than just confusion. Protests showed what lies beneath the surface of Japanese society, a deep unease with foreigners, particularly with the idea of African migration.
今石破さん移民をたくさん入れようとしてこのままじゃ日本はレイプ大国になってしまいます。親の世代を安心させてあげられないのも辛いし、私の子供世代なんてどうなってしまうんだろう。日本は単一民族国家です。それを今の石破さんの勝手な政策では言えなくなってしまいます。怖いです。
What misinformation ignited, national attitudes kept burning. Japan is facing a demographic crisis unlike any other developed nation. Its population is shrinking, birth rates are collapsing, towns are emptying, and the workforce is aging at an unsustainable pace. Demographers warn, without immigration, Japan risks collapse. Yet, Japan resists. For centuries, it has prided itself on being an ethnically homogeneous society. Even today, many cling to the idea of pure Japanese blood. Multiculturalism, interracial marriage, and large-scale immigration remain taboo to much of the population. Foreign workers, whether African or Southeast Asian, often remain permanent outsiders no matter how long they stay. The irony is painful. The protests may have been sparked by lies, but they expose the truth. Japan's fear of mixing, its preference for purity, and its resistance to diversity are helping fuel its decline. Immigration could help Japan survive its democratic crisis, but pride and cultural insultery keep the gates closed. In the end, Japan's greatest strength, its unity, may also be its undoing. Australia presents one of the starkest contradictions in the immigration debate. When Britain established its first Australian colony in 1788, the Aboriginal population is estimated to have been 300,000 to more than 1 million, organized into over 600 tribes or nations, speaking around 250 languages with many dialects. But colonization brought devastation. By 1901, the Aboriginal population had collapsed to just over 90,000 people, largely due to disease, frontier violence, and the disruption of traditional society. During the 20th century, Indigenous Australians were confined to reserves, missions, and institutions, their lives controlled by government policies. Thousands of children, known as the Stolen Generations, were forcibly removed from their families, severing cultural ties that still echo in trauma today. At the same time, Britain populated the continent with settlers, the vast majority from the British Isles, especially England. Today, most white Australians trace their ancestry back to the early European migrants.
Anti-immigration rallies are taking place in capital cities and regional centres across the country this afternoon. In Melbourne, anti-immigration protesters and a pro-Palestine rally have clashed in the CBD, with pepper spray being deployed and several demonstrators assaulted. Hundreds of police blocked the groups from meeting near Flinders Street station, but members from both groups marched down other streets away from the blockade. There were few police in the area at that time.
And yet, in the 21st century, Australia has become a nation of fierce immigration control, particularly targeting Africans, Asia, and Middle Eastern immigrants. Offshore detention centers like Nauru and Manus have been internationally condemned for human rights abuses. Anti-immigration protests often echo fears of cultural threats, even in a country founded on colonial displacement and immigration itself.
We're here because anti-immigration is our key political issue.
Are you racist?
Yeah, we're racist. Yeah, we're racist.
And why is that a good thing?
We're proud of who we are. We're proud of who we are as white men. We built this nation. All the organisation are proud to be racist.
White Australia Group seize control.
This land was built by white Australians.
With every comment, there was more disquiet in the crowd.
These ethnics have formed enclaves, and now we can't even go there at our own lands.
It was a hate speech and wasn't winning over the majority.
Send them back. No debate, no discussion. We want to send them back to their land.
The irony is undeniable. A continent taken through colonization, where indigenous people were nearly erased, is now home to some of the harshest policies against those seeking refugees. In July 2025, the United States slashed visa validity for citizens of Nigeria, Ghana, Cameroon, and Ethiopia, shrinking what used to be multi-year, multi-entry visas into single-entry, 3-month visas. Officials framed this as reciprocity, but critics called it targeted discrimination against African nationals. At the same time, ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ramped up raids across farms, factories, and cities.
And New York is ground zero. ICE vans are rolling through neighborhoods, courthouses, and even schools. Trump's people are making their message clearer than ever.
As a guy who spent 34 years deporting illegal aliens, I got a message to the millions of illegal aliens that Joe Biden's releasing our country in violation of federal law. You better start packing.
On July 2025 in California, a farmer, Jamie Garcia, died falling from a rooftop while fleeing ICE agents during a massive raid that detained over 200 people. In Chicago, September 2025, ICE launched Operation Midway Blitz, supposedly targeting criminals, but among the detained were people with no criminal records at all. In Houston, June 2025, hundreds protested outside the Immigration Detention Center after a plainclothes ICE agent arrested people even outside courtrooms, some after their cases had already been dismissed. The message is here: even those with legal statuses are not safe. The label of illegal immigrant blurs, becoming a tool to justify mass crackdowns on entire communities.
Since President Trump outlined from the White House his plan for Washington.
Going to take our capital back. We're taking it back. In massive enforcement operations targeting known gangs, drug dealers, and criminal networks to get them the hell off the street, maybe get them out of the country, because a lot of them came into our country illegally. They shouldn't have been allowed in. They come from Venezuela. They come from all over the world. We're going to get them the hell out. They won't be here long.
Protesters often say we are against illegal immigration, not legal immigration, but the lines are blurred. Visa restrictions, workplace raids, and hostile public sentiment make even legal immigrants feel under siege. And it's true, immigrants, like any other community, bear responsibility to respect the laws of the countries they move to. When crimes are committed by migrants, the consequences are real and often fuel anti-immigrant sentiment. These incidents help explain why some citizens oppose immigration. But here lies the danger: generalization. Not every immigrant is a criminal, not every newcomer is a threat, yet entire groups are painted with the same brush, a presence reduced to stereotypes rather than in the complexity of human lives. The actions of a few becomes justification to punish the many. And here's the deeper contradiction. How can a country denounce immigration when its own wealth, stability, and opportunities were built on the extraction, colonization, and destabilization of the very nations people are fleeing? The UK's empire shaped the world. The US intervened in countless countries. Australia and Japan benefited from global networks of trade, resources, and war. Today, their stability exists in no small part because of centuries of others' instability. So when immigrants arrive seeking safety and opportunity, isn't it fair to say they are not simply taking, they are reclaiming what was taken from them? War on immigrants, it's not about borders or laws. It's a war on history, on the uncomfortable truth of how interconnected our world really is. If powerful nations want fewer immigrants at their borders, perhaps the first step is not more walls, raids, or protests. Perhaps the first step is accountability, addressing the destabilization, the extraction, and the exploitation that forced people to move in the first place. Until then, the protest will continue, policies will harden, and the hypocrisy will remain. Make it make sense.